Good morning, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Welcome to Pathways to Success, where we turn the spotlight on the heroes of the Philippine economy, our micro, small, and medium enterprises. We follow their inspiring journey and give great insight on what it takes to scale up their business. Inclusivity in business is the practice of creating a work environment where employees feel valued, respected, and included, regardless of differences. Studies show that companies focused on inclusion don't just look good on paper, they outperform their competitors, attracting more talent and innovation. Are MSMEs in the Philippines prioritizing inclusivity? How can LGBT plus inclusive practices give small businesses a major edge, building a stronger team, gaining loyal customers, and shaping a brand that stands out for all the right reasons? Our guest for today is the chairman of the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce, Ronnie Astillas. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Welcome, and thank you for inviting the Philippine LGBT Chamber, Mai. It's an honor to be here today.
It's good to have you. So perhaps not many people know that there is a Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Tell us, what is this all about and what are your key objectives?
Yes. We're proud to say that we are Asia's first LGBT Chamber of Commerce, or what we call a people-centered chamber. Because usually you have geographic base, like where the company is originating, like from America, Australia, Europe. For the first time, we have a people organization that focuses on LGBT businesses and allied companies as well. So as a Philippines' first LGBT Chamber of Commerce, our goal is to highlight the contribution of LGBT businesses in the Philippine economy. And I think we're proud to announce that as we're moving forward for the past few years, we're slowly taking up that space and being recognized as positive contributors to economic growth.
Yes. Now, who are some of the more successful LGBT entrepreneurs who are active in the chamber?
Well, we do have different entrepreneurs, and one entrepreneur I'd like to highlight is our founding director, Mai Rodriguez. She is the founder of Vital Strats, a digital marketing firm or agency that focuses on anything that's online. She's been doing it for more than 20 years now, and we're proud to say that she has grown her business as an LGBT or a lesbian entrepreneur. She's proud to make that mark in the digital marketing sphere. We are also proud to announce that one of our members is the founder of the Philippines' first queer-owned barbershop. I mean, usually when you talk about LGBT,
LGBT
it's more of like salons, parlors, right? This time it's a barbershop that's queer-owned. The founder is Paul Sumayaw, and he has a branch in Laguna, now in Loonlaang, Manila, and I think he's opening one in Pili, Camarines Sur, Bicol region in December. So that is a safe space for us. It gives a signal to everybody that you can have LGBT inclusive spaces, businesses all over the country. So we're proud to say that Paul Sumayaw has been, a very strong advocate, and he's been amplifying the voice of the community through the businesses that he's been establishing.
It's good to know that there are many voices of the LGBTQ plus community out there and running their own businesses. Now, Ronnie, tell us a bit more about your background. What first inspired you to become part of this movement for LGBT inclusion in businesses and in the workplace?
Quickly, I used to do policy making as a trade negotiator for the Philippines. Back then, we were doing economic integration for ASEAN. I was one of the trade negotiators for the Philippines. And I realized after completing that integration process, what comes next? Who wins in all these free trade agreements? And you dig deep into your core, I saw that marginalized groups such as LGBT people are not well represented. So I think that connected me to the advocacy that ultimately, when we make economic progress, no one should be really left behind. That LGBT people, women, people with disability, indigenous people. We all should be part of that economic progress. And I'm happy to say that I've been giving my strength and contribution to the community through the things that we do in the organization.
Right. So now the idea of LGBT plus inclusivity is linked mainly with big corporation. How do you see this applying to small businesses?
Mai, to be honest, it might seem that big corporations are the movers of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, we also see the micro, small, medium enterprises as movers. They themselves can easily decide on inclusion. As company owners, they can always say, we will adopt inclusion for our people. We will hire in a non-discriminatory manner. In fact, some of them are intentionally hiring LGBT talents. And we're good with that. We have 1,104,000 MSMEs. And we've not even scratched the surface. So what we want is for government and for all of us in the business sector to also focus on the MSMEs, particularly those owned by LGBT people, because they themselves are agents of change. We need an ecosystem that is inclusive. And if the current business ecosystem is not giving that to us, we are developing our own in that sense.
Well, speaking of inclusive ecosystems, studies show that inclusive workplaces can boost creativity and attract better talent. So what can small companies do to start fostering an inclusive environment?
A few things. Number one, it starts with leadership. Companies' leadership should be clear on their goals. It's not just the value of profit, but it's also the values that they adhere to as a company. Do you value inclusion? Do you value acceptance, tolerance? Do you value diversity of talents? So the values should always be greater than just the value or the profit. Another point I'd like to highlight is companies can also push for equity rather than just equality. What do we mean by equity? It is our duty to provide more resources to the underrepresented members of the economy. And as a company, if you can hire intentionally women, LGBT, people with disabilities, you're doing a great service for the community. And that needs to happen. It's not business as usual for all of us.
So it is that intention that we need to see more in small businesses. Okay, so from your experience, how is the Philippine SME sector evolving in terms of inclusivity?
Well, I think we're slowly getting into that level where we see inspirational stories, we see champions talking about SME successes. Most of the time, people might dismiss that you're a small business, you don't really provide a big mark in the economy. As I said, cumulatively, we have 1 million plus, 99.6% of the economy are MSMEs. What I'm seeing is that the government is now focusing on the smaller players. Private sectors, if you ask those who've been talking about business inclusion, are also tapping the micro, small, medium enterprises. In that sense, what we are having is a door that's opening for all of us. And I think what should be pushed forward is the right resources, additional effort, additional policy that's an enabling environment that will encourage our MSMEs to grow and to beat the rigors of business.
Great. We're getting a lot of great insights on inclusivity in SMEs, but it's time for a quick break. When we return, we'll dive into the challenges and ways to overcome them. Pathways to Success. We'll be right back.
Good morning, I'm Ferdy Salvador.
I'm Mikey Oreta, and welcome to Industry Beacon, where we shine a light on the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the industry leaders shaping our future. And in each episode, we'll explore how they're staying ahead in their respective fields, one industry at a time.
The industry changes quite rapidly.
We know where to go. We've got our comfort zone.
Those are early manifestations for the of what
I'm happy you told me that because now I know I'm not getting Alzheimer's.
Industry Beacon on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Pagdiwang at pag-alay. To lift up while remaining grounded in a sensual and vigorous grace. And to do all this while swept away by the pounding, all-enveloping music. More than just performances, these are traditions that are alive with Dayaw, our knowledge, our pride.
We are back. Let's continue our conversation on inclusive business practices for SMEs. We are still with Ronnie Astillas, chairman of the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Now, Ron, what are the common workplace issues that you deal with in the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce?
A few things. Number one, still discrimination as per hiring practice. Most LGBT talents are scared to apply, because considering that, if they can live their truth, can they be a feminine expressing person in the office? Should they adhere to the office uniform? So again, these are triggers for possible discrimination, or at least hindrance to apply for a company. So that's one thing. Another that we've seen as a problem or a challenge for businesses is the commitment of their executives or the leadership. Often we want the workforce to embrace who they are, to be as productive as they can be. But when leaders are failing in terms of committing to their cause, to like the resource development, the human resource development component, then I think that becomes problematic for most businesses. So there's discrimination, there's a lack of commitment, and also I think it's also the awareness or the lack of information, because sometimes companies are really allies. They want to support, they want to hire women, they want to hire LGBT, but they just don't know how to share that information to others.
Well, so it's the same issues that we've been seeing over the years, but I hope we're seeing less and less of these issues. But are these the same things that we see that SMEs are dealing with?
Yep. There's a baseline commonalities for MSMEs, but we look at it with a gender lens. What we say in the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce is that you can do business and you can undergo all these challenges as an MSMEs, but it's doubly hard if you're a transgender woman, if you're a lesbian entrepreneur, if you're a gay man operating a business. So that becomes problematic for most of the people. So I think what we want to highlight is the gender component, that our society has not been built to accommodate the diversity that's out there. And that's the reason why talking to you, having this information dissemination tools will help people understand that in 2024, in this time and age, it's just really right to embrace everybody in the economy and doing business.
Certainly talking about it helps, having these conversations, right? So for small business owners who want to make changes towards inclusivity, would that be costly or complex for them?
It should not be costly, but definitely resources have to be allocated. In fact, globally, there's a study that says among official development assistance, for every $100 spent on official development assistance, just 35 cents or 40 cents go to LGBT causes. So it's very, very minimal. That means we need more resources that we have to pour in so that the mainstreaming of gender diverse businesses in economy will happen. And if I'm talking to an MSME, for example, you can pick a lot of things as a practice. Number one, you can structurally have an all-gender toilet, for example, and that becomes a safe space for your people, for your employees. Number two, if you don't have much resources, you can always do some info sessions within your company through gender sensitivity trainings. You don't need much, enough, big money to conduct these trainings, and just have that conversation with your people, with your employees, and ask them, do you really think that the company is supportive of your identity and that you can be very, very productive in this company? If they can answer that fully, then I think you're heading towards the right direction.
So what are the first steps in terms of creating a culture of diversity? What can small business owners do?
Number one is the business owners should educate themselves why they need to do it, or why it is important to be a gender ally. That's one thing. Number two, you need to have everyone on board. You need to talk to your executives, to HR, to your other management team to ensure that that kind of value goes all the way down to the operation, to the client servicing, etc.
Yeah.
So you're building a team, you're building an army that will support everyone in your company. So another point I like to highlight is for you to start being inclusive, you also need to be a soundboard or have that feedback mechanism as to what's the pulse within your employees. What do they really want? And is this just mere business for us? Is it just profit making? Or is there a higher cost as to why you're providing such service to the public?
So it's important to keep that communication line open. And it's important also for them to know that it is open. They can always speak out.
Exactly, because in the corporate world, if your superiors say, no, you can't speak, it's in the end, it's my decision, then that does not incentivize, discourse, or at least creativity, or allowing your people to speak up. When they're afraid to talk, then I don't think you're doing a good, a good thing for the company. So communication really matters.
Ron, when you talk to business leaders, do you encounter misconceptions about LGBT plus inclusivity?
Definitely, because they all think that we are just within the creative sector. That's one thing. Like once I was talking to this business leader, and then his reaction was that, oh yeah, LGBT people, you're good in creatives. I said, yes, we are good in creatives, but we're beyond that sector. We're seen everywhere.
Yeah,
Banking.
but I hear that all the time. You're being, segmented to the creative sector.
Because there's stereotyping that's going on. That's why I say, you look at the faces of LGBT, we have people doing taxation, we have people doing banking, mining, construction, logistics, printing and all. So it's not just limited to showbiz, entertainment, creatives, or aesthetics. We're beyond these sectors, and I think that's what we need to celebrate and we need to support. So the stereotyping is quite prevalent when it comes to the business sector's appreciation.
We can't just put them in this box, right?
Yes.
So how do you make them see that inclusivity is a positive shift instead of it being a challenge?
Yeah. We see inclusivity as an investment. As a business person, we have to speak the language. It's not an expense, but an investment. If you invest on inclusion, if you invest on your people, then you are investing on productivity, on generating more ideas, and ultimately hitting your bottom line, and having a good share of the market. And I think it's time for all of us to think that inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and LGBT movement is not an expense to our social of society, but rather an investment that we have to do because we're looking at the future as well.
It is, and it encourages productivity among all your employees. We certainly have more to discuss, but we will have to take another break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The world is on a final countdown to limit global warming, and time is not on our side. That warning coming from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres during the COP29 summit in Baku, Azerbaijan. In a speech, Guterres tells world leaders to pay up to prevent climate-led humanitarian disasters.
In our global economy, supply chain shocks raise costs everywhere. Decimated harvests push up food prices everywhere. Destroyed homes increase insurance premiums everywhere. And this is a story of avoidable injustice. The rich cause the problem, the poor pay the highest price. So doubling down on fossil fuels is absurd. The clean energy revolution is here. No group, no business, and no government can stop it. But you can and must ensure it is fair and fast enough to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Nearly 200 countries are attending the annual UN Climate Summit. This year, their focus is to raise hundreds of billions of dollars to fund a global transition to cleaner energy sources. Guterres says he's confident a deal will be reached. Now back to our guest. We are still with Ronnie Astillas, chairman of the Philippine LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Now, Ron, in the coming years, how do you envision LGBT plus inclusivity in Philippine businesses, especially for MSMEs? And over the commercial break, we were just talking about the SOGI bill. We have been waiting for that, and it's been pending for 23 years now.
I have to support our community. Let's pass the SOGI, or the equality bill. That's a policy legislation that's very important for us, not just in the workplace, but in any other space where we are in. Another is the future for LGBT businesses is quite bright, I think. More and more, we see entrepreneurs who are encouraged to speak up, to show that they're queer-owned, that their LGBT identities as business players matter to them. And I think that's where we're heading, a bright future where we'll all be part of. And that will not be possible, though, if we don't have government supporting us, if we don't have business sector champions amplifying the cause, and at the same time, the general public supporting your own LGBT entrepreneurs in whatever way you can. Be conscious of where you buy your stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Be conscious of when you go outside, you do your shopping, support local, but also support LGBT businesses.
That is really important, what you said, support from the community, from the government, right? So, well, your final words, I'd like to know why LGBT plus inclusivity is a smart business move. Tell everyone out there.
I tell everyone I get to talk to that LGBT inclusion is a right key business decision, because if you believe that the future is more productivity, more creativity, more acceptance, then as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, you cannot but dismiss the presence of LGBT talents all over the place. And as part of economic development, we have to ensure that really no one will be left behind. And that is genuine inclusion for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for stopping by. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Mai.
And that's a wrap. Today, we learned that embracing diversity is a smart move for today's businesses. Let's keep pushing boundaries and building workplaces that welcome everyone. Until next time, stay open and stay creative. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow for more insights only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.